King Spawn #1 is an interesting read. It's touted as this new starting point for fans to jump back into Spawn, and it's a record-setting event. Sold a bunch of issues, and they got a bunch of covers. Which, in fact, you know what? Let's take a look at the covers. Now, you might have noticed that there's no white cover. I didn't see a white cover. I went to Legacy Comics out here in Glendale, and I didn't see any blank sketch covers, which I love. I would buy every cover and a blank sketch cover. So I'm got to talk to Todd McFarlane about that. But it's definitely one of those things. And reading this book, I felt like I had missed a lot of Spawn. I haven't read Spawn since like issue 200 or some shit. And I read it like when it hit 200, I had missed. I hadn't read it since 100. Now, the first 100 issues I read. But reading 200, it was like, okay, I kind of get a sense that I'm missing a lot. There's a lot still there from what I remember. Yeah, I kind of get that sense with King Spawn #1. Now, I don't know if King Spawn #1 is actually replacing the main Spawn title, but it's the new ongoing one, along with was it the Scorch that's coming out, and Gunslinger Spawn, and I think there's one more. I know Spawn's universe is just one a one shot, but yeah, there's that. But reading this issue was really tricky for me because I felt like I missed a lot. The story centers around a terrorist plot killing children and using Psalm 127 or something, one of these Bible verses, to justify what they're doing. And it's an adversary that basically sees Spawn as a king, and even though the title says King Spawn, Spawn's just doing his thing with some allies. You know, Jessica Priest, if you remember her, she's in it. She's Spawn, and but the adversary sees Spawn as a king that can be dethroned, and you get a sense of that right off the bat. Yeah, and that's essentially the main story. The main story was really good. It was drawn by Javi Fernandez, which is a really good artist. He had this atmosphere. I would compare it to like the Vertigo titles. So he does have that, like, you know, some contrast, stark contrast, where Spawn, I'm used to seeing this flashy, like really cool comic art, especially 90s style, since I read it back in the 90s. You know, your Greg Capullos, your David Finches, McFarlane, of course, is the main one. But because of that, I was very delighted because, you know, as I've grown older, I've liked this more less flashy, more substancy art, and you still get a lot of the Spawnisms. You get the flowing cape right in the opening page when he's in the cemetery, much like I am here. It's a flowing cape, and you get some of the scenes where he just jumps from building to building, which is nice. But then you get a lot of that Vertigo-y type style art in this first story. Right now, as far as the first main story goes, will be I'm gonna give it a good 4 out of 5. It's a well done story. Sean, I'm blanking on his name. I'm sure I'll put a caption here. He does a really good job, and he has a sense. You get a sense that he has a really good sense of what Spawn is. And Todd McFarlane did some of the additional dialogue, but a lot of the dialogue in it just feels all natural. It doesn't feel like two people are working on it. So this dude Sean is doing a really good job in getting me excited to buy a Spawn book again. Like, I feel like it really took me back to 8-year-old me running to the shop excited about Spawn. So yeah, 4 out of 5 out of the main story, and then I'll give you the rest in a little bit. All right, so the next backup story we get here on King Spawn #1 is Haunt. Haunt is back. I don't know if you ever read it, but it's basically the story of a priest, a disgraced priest that gets possessed, ectoplasmic costume possessed by his deceased mercenary brother. And he basically tells them to help him solve the murder so that he can find peace. it's a controversial figure. Every time I talk to Larry, when we do the podcast on Wednesday nights live, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and, you can hit subscribe to get notified to that. He just like, Haunt. And it's like, look, Haunt's not that bad. It's actually kind of cool. They didn't do a lot of it, but a lot of people fell off of Haunt because around issue 18 or 19, they stopped the main story. They stopped following the main story. They just abandoned that main plot and started bringing him into Spawn's events. And then I believe it stopped being published after that for a while. And now he's back in King Spawn #1. And the story's actually kind of cool. We see him after a long time, after what we've seen in the Haunt books. And he found love. And he's, having nice intimate moments with his little girlfriend, and he's having a picnic, and she's looking to cook dinner on another panel, and she looks for knives, and then the next thing we see is in full Haunt regalia, and he's crucified. He's crucified in his kitchen with like 13 knives, and then one of the Redeemers comes in, and or the Redeemer, I believe, comes in and basically saves him and says, hey, look, shit's hitting the fan and we need you here. You need to stop being so trusting. There's shit at work here and you're going to have to step up. It's written by Todd McFarlane. I forget who drew it, but I'll put a caption up here. Yeah, it's look, I like Haunt. I know a lot of people were it was a polarizing figure, and but I like him, and I like that he's back. And I want to see where it comes out. I'm not 100% sure as the time of recording this if he's going to have his own series or he's going to be part of the King Spawn series, but I'm excited to see more. So I do give this backup a 3.5 out of 5. And 3.5 is not that it's bad, not that the art is bad. It's just short, and I want to see more. So it's a caveat laced 3.5. So Nightmare is the next story up. Nightmare features this demonic Spawn that's the adversary here in this King Spawn #1 backup story. He looks just like Spawn, but he's demonic, and the artist does a real good job of showing you the difference because he looks very similar. But it's well executed. It's a character I know nothing about, so I can't even really judge it as a Nightmare story. I'll make sure my dog's not chasing a squirrel here. But I'm intrigued and I want to read more. Other than him being demonic, more so about Spawn, I know nothing about him. He might be a guy that came out in like the Resurrection storyline, something I haven't read. So as far as the execution of it, like the story's well done, it's well drawn. Artist's name here, and that's it. I can only really give this one about a 3 because again, I don't know anything about it, and it was fine. It was well executed. One criticism about King Spawn that I would give is that I really feel like I missed a lot about Spawn, and it's not their responsibility to catch me up, but it'd be nice. Next up, we're talking about The Hero. The Hero is a story about a kid that his dad is like a mob guy, Yakuza guy, something like that, and he wants to spend time with his dad. So he got to find a way, prays to Angel to help him and be like, yay, I want to spend time with my dad. So the Angel comes and kills all the criminals except basically this Redeemer. Angel I call him Redeemer. I don't even know what these guys are called. I don't know if it's the real Redeemer from like Spawn, what is it, like 18 or something. But he comes and answers the kid's prayer, and then the kid now has the ability to pray to him. And short story short, that's it. He has the power to call down a Redeemer for his bidding. We'll see how these go into the King Spawn overall story. next up is Gunslinger Spawn. He's a cowboy Spawn from the 1800s. And he's a character I've always been interested. I wish he was a character that I would have read in Curse of the Spawn, but guess what? I have him now. And he looks cool. J. Scott Campbell did a cover of his, a variant cover of I think it was Spawn's Universe *1, and it's the Gunslinger Spawn. It looks amazing. And this story is kind of his origin, but not necessarily his origin. It's more of how he connects to the current King Spawn books and storyline, which, you know, is a theme in these backup stories. So yeah, I give this one definitely a 5 out of 5. It's really short. I think it's only like 3 or 4 pages, but it has everything you need. It has a awesome looking Western Spawn in the Wild West, and he trades in his horse for a motorcycle, which is also awesome. So yeah, hopefully you get to see a lot more of him soon. If it's his own series, it'll be great. If it's just part of the big team up or whatever, I'm all in. 5 out of 5. So normally I give away the issues that I review here, whether it's on these one shots or the live show or Instagram. But this time around, my worker at my job at the barbershop, he he thought it was a regular ass magazine, and he went nuts on a fly that was bugging him. So here's the condolence RIP funeral video for my copy of King Spawn #1.